What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode. We are opening up another podcast, obviously, to talk about our favorite team, but mainly to talk about the division round and what's happening over this weekend. Of course, I'm joined by my good buddy here, Mythic AZ, to chop it up. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. If I sound sickly, though, my bad. I'm definitely coming down with something. And, still had to hop on the podcast. Got some things to talk about, man. But I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. How are you doing?
All right, yeah, I think it's like allergy season or something like that. My wife came down with something, so I know something is happening around here. So please excuse us if we do have a sneeze attack. I'm talking about myself. I'll mute myself, and obviously, if Mythic has to do something, he'll probably walk away if he needs to. So, hopefully everybody's doing good. Hopefully everybody's healthy out there. But we want to talk about football, right? Obviously, nothing to do with the Arizona Cardinals, or at least not this first segment. We are going to be diving into the Kliff Kingsbury. Is he coming back here to the NFL? We'll be diving into that a little later on. But first, let's talk about the division round, shall we? We got some pretty good games. 4 games coming our way. We got some games on Saturday and we got some games on Sunday. Mythic, do you want to jump on it first? And you want to let us know what's happening here on Sunday and what's the schedule look like?
Man, let's pull it up real quick because there are some fantastic games and I'm really excited. So it starts tomorrow on Saturday and we get the Texans once again at 2:30 against the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like this is going to be a sneaky good matchup, and CJ Stroud is going to get tested. He's looked fantastic all year long. Obviously, Cardinals fans have been praying for this man's downfall all season long. Like, I love CJ Stroud. I genuinely do. The way he handles himself, the way he just goes about playing football, and on the field, obviously, the product is fantastic. Like, CJ Stroud is a baller. Just not this year. This is not what we wanted whatsoever. Him and DeMeco Ryans came in and just turned this franchise all the way around. And it sucks, man. We hold that first round pick, and it's already at like 27 as it stands right now. And if they win, it just keeps going up and up and up. And we can't have that. But that's going to be a fantastic game, I believe. And then staying on Saturday, we got Packers and Green Bay, or Packers and San Francisco, which is always a coveted game. This isn't Aaron Rodgers, though. This isn't the same old division rival, but we do have Jordan Love, who has looked fantastic. And I mean fantastic. He's been dicing it. This is also going to be a fantastic matchup. 49ers, one of the most complete teams in the league. Brock Purdy's getting tested. So we're going to start on Saturday, though, and we're going to make the first predictions here.
All right, perfect.
So who do you got? Texans versus Baltimore.
Well, I agree with you. I think this is a fantastic matchup as well. 2 months ago, I wouldn't say this was a fantastic matchup, but it is now. CJ Stroud having one of the best rookie seasons I think anybody's ever seen. And it sucks because you're a Cardinal fan, right? And I'm a Cardinal fan, and we have their first round pick. So, but if you like take that out of your eyes, and if you just look at this just as a football fan, you can actually really appreciate like what he's actually doing. This guy's putting up numbers, man. They were supposed to be like projected to be bottom dwellers, like the Arizona Cardinals are finding themselves with the 4th overall spot. Like they were supposed to be down there. So kudos to obviously DeMeco Ryans being there, and then drafting CJ Stroud and getting themselves Will Anderson, which you're welcome. You're welcome, Texans fans. But anyways, I digress. This is going to be a fantastic matchup. There was word that Mark Andrews might play, but that was already shut down earlier this morning. They said he's not going to be playing for this game. So I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. I think the Texans are riding a really, really good high right now in terms of they might be able to contest with like any team, but I think the storyline might come to a halt this week. I do think it's going to be a good game still. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, or at least I hope it's not going to be a blowout. I do take the Ravens in this game, but I think this game's going to come down to obviously them trying to stop Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's playing very, very good football right now. And I'm going to say the Ravens win this game 27-21. I say Ravens win. What do you got?
That's a very fair prediction, honestly. You're right, though. CJ Stroud is having one of the greatest rookie seasons I've ever seen with my 2 eyes. The man is dealing it. Like, he's killing it. He came in here, and the Texans pick was projected number 2 at one point, and it was lingering in the top 5, and they were just kind of fluctuating it anywhere from 2 to 5, and like, oh, the Texans aren't going to be anything, and blah, 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 blah. Buccaneers were in there, Panthers are in there, Cardinals are in there. And Tampa Bay's not in there. They're actually still in the playoffs too. So they're blowing everyone out the water. And then, of course, the Texans, they're doing it. And when you take those blinders off of being a Cardinals fan, like you said, you do appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ Stroud, baller, man. I love just him as a person, him as a football player. He's just he's dealing it, man. But I think I do agree. Either this is going to be a blowout. I think they're going to either blow him out or the Texans are going to win. I feel like if it's close, the Texans are going to find a way to win this one. But I'm going to say it's kind of lingering towards a blowout. I think we're going to look at like 24 or 27. I'm going to go 27-13 Baltimore.
Baltimore. Okay.
27-13 Baltimore. The defense for Baltimore is going to step up big time, and they're the elite factor in this. And Lamar Jackson is the MVP. I think he's going to come out on top.
Okay, that's absolutely fair. Let's move over to the next game here on Saturday. We got the Packers versus the 49ers. I'll let you go first on this one.
Man, this rivalry has been something for the past 5 years, hasn't it? It has been a coveted storyline, just like Dallas Green Bay, right? But that didn't live up to expectations whatsoever. That one was ugly. Yeah. So let's hope this one's not any similar. Obviously not Aaron Rodgers we're dealing with here. This is Jordan Love, the new generation quarterback for Green Bay. Could potentially be a Hall of Fame quarterback, man. 3 in a row. Who knows? He looks fantastic, though, coming off the gate. This is technically his first season starting at quarterback for them. And, man, just like C.J. Stroud, obviously not technically his rookie season. He's been mentored by Aaron Rodgers, kind of developed the right way, and you kind of see that. You know, he comes into his own with confidence. The beginning of the season wasn't fantastic, and then you got San Fran flipping it. Unfortunately, this is a division rival, so you give them their props, and it kind of hurts a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but they're one of the best football teams in the entire league. The line is a little mediocre, but in terms of run blocking, they're pretty good. And of course, they have one of the greatest running backs of all time, best running back in the league. Christian McCaffrey, you have a weapon in him and Deebo Samuel. It's tough to guard that. It's tough to come in here and game plan against that. I think 49ers are going to take it against the inexperienced Jordan Love. But I don't know. It's kind of like the Texans. They're both hot right now, but they're going up against great defenses. So, like, how are they going to perform? Both technically. I call Jordan Love a rookie quarterback in my eyes because he's kind of just been riding the bench. So this is technically his rookie season for me. I'm not going to call him a rookie, though. But, I mean, I think I'm going to say this one's going to be a little bit closer. I think it's going to be like – because Brock Purdy as well. This is year 2. And people are saying he's going to fold. I don't think he's going to fold. I think it'll be like 31-23. Okay.
That's pretty good. So this is an interesting game. Right, I think we talked about the whole Jordan Love thing, or back-to-back quarterbacks, and it's very frustrating as a fan of the NFL. And if you don't like the Green Bay Packers, but I got no issues with the Green Bay Packers personally. It just sucks that they're hitting all these dang quarterbacks, right? But I think this is going to be an interesting game. We have the San Francisco 49ers, obviously the number 1 seed here in the NFC. But they haven't played football in a very, very long time. Like, do you buy into the whole narrative of, they still got rust? And on top of that, Brock Purdy too. Like, Brock Purdy, does he have it in him to win this big game? And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm kind of excited if they don't win. Because like I want to see these 49er fans like really crumble and really kind of get mad and get upset. Oh, Brock Purdy's not it. Right? Because this is what it's all gonna come down to. Like, can Brock Purdy make the throws, right? And can he stay healthy? I do agree. The wild factor in terms of like hot, I do believe the Green Bay Packers and the Texans are one of the hottest teams. Christian McCaffrey is great. Definitely not going to lie there. I don't know. I want to pull off an upset, but like, I don't know. Like the 49ers and the Ravens are the 2 teams that I feel like they're kind of like the juggernauts.
Yep.
So I'm not going to pick against them. I'm going to go 49ers. I think it's going to be a closer game than much people think. I think it's going to be 27-17. 27-17. So 10-point game. I would say 49ers win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Jordan Love and Aaron Jones has something going.
Yeah. Aaron Jones found 3 touchdowns.
3
last game.
Yep.
Man was dealing. If he's able to replicate that, then who knows? But the Packers, is it the Packers that can't get by the 49ers, right? The Packers have been the ones losing.
I feel like any NFC North teams can't get by any of the NFC West teams, if I can be if I can be completely honest here. But yeah, I think the Green Bay Packers have a very, very hard time with like anybody in the NFC West. You have even the Cardinals.
I know the Lions came out and stumped the Rams. I picked the Rams to win that game.
Yeah.
I think the Lions were the better team, but like I thought just injuries and everything was going to overcome them. And Matthew Stafford is just a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he was playing concussed, but I digress.
Right.
I mean, I saw this man's eyes roll back, his hands go up, and then he says he has a rib injury, and he starts holding his ribs right after that. So they check out the ribs and they check out, and they're not evaluating for that concussion, so he doesn't get taken out. So
wild, man. It's wild. But yeah, I think we both got 49ers in this game, right?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be the top heavy teams and Saturday. And it's crazy that those are going to be the Saturday matchups. And we're still not done.
We're not.
We have some good games looking into Sunday. Because
what's on Sunday? Let us know.
We got Tampa Bay versus the Detroit Lions. This is like America's favorite matchup right here, just in terms of like teams we would love to see, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because me personally, either of these teams make it, I'm happy. Like genuinely, if Tampa Bay or Detroit wins, it sucks they play each other. But if either of these teams make it, I'm happy for the NFC. And then Sunday Night Football, this is probably my most exciting game. Just because as soon as these two teams play and you get the Chiefs and the Bills, especially on Sunday Night Football with Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, I'm not sure what the weather's going to be like for this, but they always ball out. It is always a good game. It is always down to the wire. The last time they played, I believe, was an overtime game. It's just so many things. The 13-second drive with Patrick Mahomes in the last one. Like, just so much adversity, so much crap has, like, gone down with these two teams.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this one the most out of all 4 games this weekend. But we're going to start with Tampa Bay versus Detroit. And I'm going to have you go first on the predictions. Who do you have coming out on top?
I agree with you. I do think I love the underdog story. I truly, truly do. And then when I look at this matchup, I'm like, these are the two teams that people like don't really think about too much. But I do think it's going to be a good game. I think Baker Mayfield's playing really good football right now. But I do got to give it to the Lions. I like the Lions story. Dan Campbell, we've talked about this in the last podcast. That I liked how they built up their team, and it gets me excited as a Cardinal fan to kind of hopefully maybe replicate something like that, right? In order to like, obviously they made the right progressions, because we were making progressions, but we literally got bounced out in an ugly fashion when we went to the playoffs. So they're doing the right thing. They won their playoff game. I think everybody in Detroit's absolutely happy, and I'm gonna have to ride that. I really, really want to see the Lions at the end of the dance. I want to see Lions versus 49ers. I'm not lying. It's what I really want to see. So I'm going to say Lions win this game. I don't think it's a blowout. I don't think any of these games are going to be blown out. I think the blowouts are done, hopefully. But they're all in the wild card weekend. Hopefully these division games, we're going to get some good games. So I'm going to say the Lions win. I would say 35-28 Lions.
That's fair. That's fair. I think Tampa Bay I don't even know how to describe what they have going on. Like, it's tough to like even like pinpoint it. They just have a lot of dogs. Like, they really do. They just have dogs at the end of the day. Like, even Baker Mayfield, he has something to him that just gets people the ability to rally around him and just get people to buy in. And if you're not really in that locker room, or kind of, if you just don't see it, you don't see it. Like, you don't really understand it. Like, what does Baker Mayfield do? I mean, he just like, I don't know. He's like what Johnny Manziel should have been in terms of getting people to rally around him. Like, he has this ego to him, or like this like persona about him, but he like he'll talk crap, or like he'll like lower his shoulder on 3rd down and like be like, he'll shock you. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be 3rd and 3 and he's running to the pylon and he'll lower his shoulder and pick it up. And then he'll like scream and just like point to the 1st down. He'll start chirping. Like, he'll just do everything. He is like the antics or whatever. And he just gets people to rally in. And then they still have dogs like Levante David, Devin White. Yeah. They just have players, Antoine Winfield, who I think got snubbed from the Pro Bowl for a Cardinal safety, but I digress on that. But I feel like Tampa Bay has been good this season, and they're way better than I expected. But I do think they end up dropping this to Detroit with Dan Campbell and everything they got going. I think the run game is going to be too much for them to handle. And I feel like the Detroit Lions are going to walk away Ooh, tough one to predict for a score. I think I'm going to go 24 to 20. 4-point game.
It's a good game.
Nice little 4-point game.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's not bad. All right, last one. Bills versus Chiefs. This is going to be an interesting one, because like you said, when they play when they play together, like this is it's a really really good matchup. Like honestly, the Mahomes and Allen is a very very good matchup. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like Manning versus Brady. Like this is kind of what the feel is for, like, obviously this generation that we're kind of dealing with right now. It's a really good matchup. You want me to start or you want to go first?
I can dive in first, and we'll flip it right back. So I feel like I want to be a hater, and I want to pick the Bills so hard. I'm ready for the Chiefs' downfall. I'm so sick of just
Same.
Like, I mean, it's kind of like the Tom Brady thing. I have nothing against Patrick Mahomes. It's just there's a lot of things about that team that just irk me like so much. Just their fan base. You got Taylor Swift in there. You got Brittany Mahomes, Jackson Mahomes. Like, I can't stand. Like, I feel bad for Patrick because, like, he doesn't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? You're balling out. You're on pace to be one of the best quarterbacks. But then Patrick Mahomes did come out with the whole referee thing as well and start complaining. And it's like, I don't know. The whole team this season has been irritating to me. But it sucks because I feel like they are going to come out on top. I really do, but I'm not going to pick them just as the hater in me. The hater in me is not going to allow me to go with my intuition today. So we're going to rock with Buffalo, and we're going to go I don't know what the weather conditions are going to be like. That's the thing. Like, because I want to go high scoring. Like, I want to go like 31, like 37 Buffalo. But I don't know what the weather is. But I'm going to rock 30. Man. We're going to go 34-31 Buffalo.
34-31. That was actually going to be my prediction.
34-31 Buffalo.
That was literally even down to the score. That was my prediction. I'm going to keep that same thing. I agree. Buffalo. I'm tired of the whole Taylor Swift showing her. I'm sick of it, man. This is the NFL. Let us have something. And right now, I want to see a weekend without worrying about this pop star. Like I've never talked about her ever in my life. I didn't need to. I didn't feel it until they were infiltrating our thing, and that's the NFL. And I'm just tired of it. I want to see Buffalo finally get an opportunity to play, and maybe win. Now I get it. They got a juggernaut over there against the Ravens. If they do end up winning, right, that's going to be a really good matchup as well. But if they need to get past the hump, this is probably the year to do so. Beat down the Chiefs, to do your job, and obviously play in the conference championship, and see what happens versus the Ravens, because we both project the Ravens are going to be there. Unless it's the Texans, then and it's just the curse of the Cardinals, man. But we'll have to kind of wait and see how that shakes out.
Could you imagine the Texans winning the Super Bowl?
Bruh, don't even, bro. At that point, what do you do with your pick? You stay pat, or you try to trade for somebody?
You probably stay pat. It's not 32 player. Regardless, you probably just stay pat, go get a rookie contract, and just dive in. But that'd be the most Cardinals thing to happen, man. Yeah, it's just that happening.
True.
So we agree on every single game.
Did we really?
I think so. We had a couple disagreements last week.
Yeah.
And this week, I think 4 for 4, because we both picked Lions.
Yeah.
We both picked Bills. We both picked Ravens, and both picked 49ers. 4 for 4. Is this the week we get it all right?
Hasn't happened so far, but let's see what happens.
Hasn't happened. None of us have been right on like anything. And of course, I actually predicted one of the scores right, and you ended up DMing me, and I hit it right on the, like, if I put that bet in, I'm probably raking big time money right there. I put $5 on that, I'm probably raking like 400.
Exactly. You would have been like, hey, let's call it this podcast. I'm in Maui or something right now. That's probably
right.
Maybe not that far, but yeah, you did hit it right on the head, and I was like, "Holy crap, you actually hit it!" And I remember walking, and I was like, "Dang, let me look at that score." And I re-looked at our podcast, and I was like, "Oh snap, you hit it like right there!" So congrats and kudos to that. I think it was the Steelers game, right? The Steelers.
I think it was Steelers Buffalo 31-17.
Yeah, wild.
It just felt right.
Yeah, sometimes it feels right, man. Sometimes it feels right. All right, let's segue over here to obviously Mike A. Right? Yeah, Kliff Dingleberry. He's back in the headlines here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously not Dingleberry, but Kliff Kingsbury is back in the headlines, and we kind of want to dive into it. Now, yesterday I did make a live stream here on my own channel, kind of give you my spiel and how I feel about it. But basically, this is what we're talking about if you do not know. Adam Schefter ended up putting a report saying this. Former Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury, a senior offensive analyst and quarterback coach at USC, is expected to interview for Chicago Bears offensive coordinator job. Per sources, Kliff Kingsbury's USC quarterback Caleb Williams is expected to receive strong consideration to become the Bears' #1 overall pick. All right, Mythic, I'm gonna let you dive into it. How you feel about this? Do you think it's aligning in the stars? Do you think they're going Caleb? What are your thoughts?
I feel like the interview makes sense for them, just offensive coordinator, just in case. I don't feel like they're rushing to anything because they have like 9 interviews or something like that conducted. Yeah. And maybe they're just picking his brain or blase, but I don't know if they conduct the whole interview if they just want to pick his brain. Like they can pick his brain without the interview.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like there is some real steam there. I'm not sure how legit it's going to be, though, at the end of the day. Like, I don't know if this is something that's actually going to end up happening. And if it does, I feel like that does signal Caleb Williams to Chicago.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, easily Caleb Williams to Chicago. Is it going to happen, though? My mind is, like, lingering back and forth. Like, is it genuinely going to happen? I'm not sure. Like, I'd say it's – if I had to guess, I'd say, like, 40%. Likely 60% not going to happen. It's very possible. I feel like it is because they still haven't hired anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And if Caleb Williams is the direction they end up going, or that's where they want to go, like obviously they have internal decisions that have to be made. And it's a tough decision, man. Justin Fields hasn't been able to get it done. I mean, you're evaluating what you have on tape right now, what you saw in the back end of the season. Is it going to be enough to make him your franchise quarterback, or do you just want to build around him? Or is Caleb Williams genuinely that generational that you're going to go ahead and pick him with the #1 overall pick? Because it's not every day that you're going to end up having the #1 overall selection. And they got it back-to-back seasons. And they traded it last year. And they missed out on CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
So that's also something as Ryan Poles that you're going to have to look at and be like, okay, is Caleb Williams going to be someone we just miss on? And then we see him go to, like, let's say, I don't even know. Let's just say he goes to Oakland. Right. Yeah. Let's say Oakland, freaking Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah.
Dang, I'm old. A whole 22 years old, man. Oakland
You're sick.
Raiders.
It's okay, man.
So, like, I don't know. Like, are they going to trade it with the Raiders and then he just flips the franchise around? And then we see Caleb Williams just regenerate a franchise and rejuvenate everything that they have? Or do they just say, you know what, screw it. This is the year we're not going to miss out, and we're going to take Caleb Williams. We're going to deal Justin Fields for like a 2nd round, 3rd round, and like a 4th or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? I feel like there is real traction, though, with this storyline. Do you kind of feel the same? Because I wasn't able to hop on the live with you yesterday, so I wasn't able to, like, have this conversation. So I'm really curious to see what you think about this. Do you think this is, like, genuinely something to keep your eye out for?
I think so, to be honest with you. Like, look at every mock draft. And I'm saying, like, I'm not saying every mock draft is gospel. I'm not saying that. It's just like for the big analysts out there to say it makes sense to move off of Justin Fields. Now, I've heard the argument back and forth, right? Oh, just put more weapons around him, right? He finished the season off strong. Yeah, and I agree with all that. I think everything makes sense. It's just when you look at it player per player, what would be the best for Ryan Poles? Are you going to stay on the fact of I'm going to be riding this quarterback out that eventually we're going to have to pay, and that might be in a year or two, compared to starting over from a guy that has extreme potential in a Caleb Williams? And I get it, you're not the biggest fan of him, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to transpire and be here in the NFL. Is he going to miss out? And I didn't even think of that till you said it. He missed out on CJ Stroud. You're 100% right. They traded back, and the rest is history from there. Is he going to be known as the guy that's constantly missing on these quarterbacks, especially if they hit? With Caleb Williams, you get an opportunity for yourself as the general manager, because he's only been there for like a year or two. Like, he didn't draft Justin Fields. Am I wrong in that?
I think he's been there 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
Right? And then Justin Fields has been there 3, right?
I think so.
He got done with his third. So he's not the one who drafted him. Like, is he going to put his career, not career, I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but like, usually when new regimes come in, like, not new regime, he's not new, but like, I don't know. I think it just makes more sense to move off. This whole Kliff Kingsbury thing, to me, if the fact that they're even bringing a guy that didn't work out for the Cardinals and had a 4-win season, they're at least bringing him in. Why? Why are you bringing him in? We know you're not a head coach, right? We know that the offense didn't work. Why are you bringing him in? Now, you did say something very clever in terms of maybe they're going to pick his brain. Yeah, they might pick his brain because with every storyline out there, with the whole idea of, oh, Caleb Williams is this, Caleb Williams is that. We have so many different narratives out there that we don't really know what to believe, right? Oh, he wants to have part ownership. Maybe they do want to pick his brain. Maybe they do want to know who Caleb Williams is, outside all these articles. And Kliff Kingsbury might be one of the closest guys there because he's the quarterback coach. I don't know. To me, I think this story is pretty interesting because there's no way you're going to get just bringing him in for an offensive coordinator job. I think he's a strong consideration. If he doesn't get hired, okay. I don't think that the storylines are done in terms of, Caleb Williams not going to the Bears. The only way I'm going to say Caleb Williams is not going to get them is if they trade out of that pick. It's the only thing. At number 1 overall, you're not going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. That would be very silly. It would be very asinine for you as a general manager to do so. And this is the reason why. You need to trade back. Even if you want him, you have 2 people that are potentially going to want to get Caleb Williams, and that's the Washington Commanders and the Patriots. Maybe not the Patriots, but the Commanders. Maybe you can convince the Commanders to say, oh, there's a lot of intrigue, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, or at least you shouldn't as a GM. I don't know. If they have that number 1 overall, I think they are very, very in contention to get Caleb Williams. And the fact that they're interviewing him as a potential offensive coordinator, they're not saying he's just a staffer. They're not saying a quarterback coach, just saying an offensive coordinator. I don't know, man. I think this has a lot of validity. Will they hire him? I don't know. But the fact that they're considering it.
That's the thing, man. I mean, will they end up pulling the trigger? I'm not sure. Like, it is something that is genuinely lingering in the air right now, though. And it's something that is like genuinely giving me thought. And I really want to see what ends up happening because they traded it last year with the number 1 overall pick. But it looks like they missed out. But at the same time, they did get a haul back, right? They got DJ Moore, trying to Justin Fields with more weapons.
True.
And added more assets. And if a team genuinely thinks Caleb Williams, let's say they traded outside the top 10, which is probably smarter than trading it to 2 or 3, unless you take Marvin Harrison, that's the guy you want.
True.
You'll get a lot more if you trade with like Oakland. I did it again. They're Oakland today. The Raiders, if they end up trading with like the Raiders at like number 8 or whatever they're slotted, you're going to get a lot more, right? Because sliding from 8 to 1 is going to get you a lot more than sliding 2 to 1 because it's still a top pick.
Yeah.
And number 8 is still a top pick, but it obviously doesn't hold the same value as number 2 would. But let's just throw it back to Kliff Kingsbury. If he ends up getting hired, I do think it is a for sure lock. And we don't know what's going to happen. There's obviously a lot of time left. The interview process has to go down, and they have to get more players in here. I don't know.
It just feels like, so when 2019 happened, let's go back in the time machine, shall we? Let's do that.
Let's throw it back.
When we hired Kliff Kingsbury, I remember specifically, I was still doing what I was doing. No, actually, no, I apologize. When we were getting I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing this podcast. I started after, I think it was like in June or July is when I started. So everything was done. The draft was done, blah, 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 blah. But I remember specifically like thinking to myself, okay, hey, let's get this guy, let's bring him in. The moment that the rumors started to come around about possibly moving off of Josh Rosen and getting a guy that Kliff Kingsbury wants, it just made too much sense. It made too much sense that he wasn't going to go after a guy that he sought after and salivated with the thought of, I want him as my quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
It feels exactly the same way. Now, should Kliff Kingsbury been an OC over a head coach? Yes, I do agree that the Cardinals made an absolute mistake in hiring him as a head coach. Maybe OC would work better for him.
I think it would.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the people that are calling, oh, maybe he might work. I think the head coaching job was just too much for him, way over his head. And I don't think he was good there. The offensive coordinator might work to perfection for him. We'll see. But I agree. If they do hire him, it's a shoo-in, man. It's a shoo-in that they're going to get Caleb Williams. It just makes too much sense.
Yeah, because he's not taking this job Like, why would he take the job if they're
Yeah.
not getting Caleb Williams? Like, you want familiarity, and they've had a whole year together, and they've gotten pretty familiar. So they're not going to hire Kliff Kingsbury, and let's just say the hiring process does go down, and they do end up signing Kliff. Why would he take that job if they're not like, yeah, listen, we're taking Caleb. Like, we're taking him for sure. And that's going to be the guy. We got this long-term plan or whatever. I want you to build an offense around him and give him a little more time to like kind of implement what they think the best offense is going to be for Caleb Williams. And it's going to allow him to develop whatever over the next couple months until the draft ends up happening. And he's not taking this to have Justin Fields.
Right.
I promise you, he's not.
Right.
They're just in a too good of a position to get the guy that he would want. And we kind of saw this with all the Josh Rosen things. And like, oh, they just took him last year. They're not going to move off of him. It's the guy he wants.
Yeah.
And he's kind of not, it's the same thing. He's not really taking this job without getting his guy. And I think it benefited the Cardinals. Who knows? Maybe it does benefit Chicago as well. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Caleb Williams has the tools to be better than Justin Fields. Like, genuinely, I do. But is it that much of an upgrade? I'm not sure. But I don't think you pass up on him. I really don't.
Well, and that's the thing too. If you're saying it's they're almost the same, right? Like, even if it's a little bit of an upgrade, it's all about when do we have to pay him? That's when it comes down to. If you're looking at it in a GM stance, if you're saying they're literally 1A, 1B, right? If you're thinking that their ceiling is the same, you might as well go with the younger dude and start back over and get yourself 4 years to build around this guy, as opposed to one more year that if Justin Fields goes off, which I honestly don't think he's going to. Like, I honestly don't. You got to play Russian roulette. Like, you really do as a Bears organization. Figure it out. It's your guys' job. But I don't know. I think you got to start over, personally. You got 4 years of cheap quarterback play, especially if they're the same type of quarterback in people's eyes. I don't know. That's just the way I like to think of it.
I think Caleb Williams has a higher ceiling than Justin Fields does. And I feel like even coming into his rookie season, he already has more tools than Justin Fields did.
Ding, 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 ding. Exactly.
And that's just me personally. Like, a lot of Bears fans are very iffy on this. And you talk down on Justin Fields at all, and it's the end of the world. Or some people want him gone. So like, some people rally behind you. But I am on the like stance where I don't think Justin Fields can really read a defense like as efficiently as whatever. And like, there's some things you can come out about our quarterback as well, right? Yeah. But I've seen our quarterback do sensational things and actually have the ability to do whatever. And I've heard people to debunk it. I haven't heard people come out, and I've watched Justin Fields film. Like, I've actually dissected it. Like, I've actually had access to Chicago Bears film for some reason. Like, I don't remember where I found it, but it was like unlisted on YouTube. And I found like Chicago Bears like breakdown of like Justin Fields plays only. And I watched like, I think it was like 6, 7, 8 games of just Justin Fields, just because I got bored and was like fascinated to like actually be able to dive in and watch film. I'd rather do it on other quarterbacks, but that's what I had access to.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's able to. I feel like there's a lot of people like just dissecting it. And obviously the NFL is very split. Like, you have very like limited time to make a read. You have less than 3 seconds is typically when you want to get the ball out, is less than 3. And you have to get everything done, all your progressions done, all your reads done within that time. And Justin Fields is also a scrambling quarterback, so they implement a lot of RPOs and read options.
Yep.
So it's a lot of split decisions, right? Like, are you going to hand the ball off? Are you going to keep it? And sometimes, like, I've seen Bears fans try to make excuses for him, but like, there's a lot of plays where he messes up. And let's just throw it back to, let's say, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. Very different quarterback, but like just in terms of like assassin, this is like the guy you want leading the team. And you can say the same thing about Kyler if you really want to, but I think Kyler Murray has a lot more tools and is a lot better at making reads and can actually read a defense. That's me personally. But man, Justin Fields, I feel like he just doesn't have it. I really don't. I feel like he doesn't have it. And I'm not saying he's a bust, but I feel like he's better suited as a backup. And that's just me personally. Obviously, he's in the starting role, and Chicago fans kind of love him over there. So it's kind of hard for them to come to grips with that. But that's just me personally from an outsider looking in.
Right. But
I don't know.
It's Chicago Bears fans rallying for their quarterback that they have right now. And I don't
Yeah.
blame them. It's probably the exact same thing that we had here with the Arizona Cardinals when everything.
Josh
Now, obviously,
Rosen.
there was a group of people that were like, oh, yeah, move off of Josh Rosen. We've seen enough for after 1 year. And there were some people that were like, no, I mean, that's 1 year. Like, seriously, like, that's what we're doing. Like, do you remember like the chatter that kind of came around? It really feels the same. But you better bet your bottom dollar if they do make that decision and they go for Caleb Williams, the fan base will rally. Eventually, there's going to be a small group that said, I told you you shouldn't have done it, especially if he struggles in the beginning. But if he does flourish to become a really decent quarterback here in the NFL and has more than 11 wins in 3 seasons, mythic 11 wins in 3 seasons. I don't know. As the GM, he really needs to dissect everything here. And it's a tough job because if you're going to sit here and say you missed out on 2 quality quarterbacks, CJ Stroud already making Panthers fans regret everything in their life decisions. Like they're beating themselves right now to a pulp because they took Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. So I don't know, man. It's a big decision. I think the Cardinals will benefit from the decision that they should make, and that should be Caleb Williams, unless they trade out of that pick.
Yeah. And I think Carolina does have a guy in Bryce Young. He just has nothing to work with, and they don't even have their first round pick to build. So it's like just super unfortunate. And you got Tepper as the owner down there, so you're just dealing with all the adversity down there. Like
Let me ask you,
Carolina's got nothing.
do you feel like it's more beneficial for the Bears to trade on draft day or before the draft? What do you think is more beneficial in terms of what do you think is going to like give them more draft capital?
I mean, draft day, people might just have like I don't know. Draft day is where all the tensions are high.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they're willing to fork things over. Like maybe you stand pat and you're like, why would I do that? Like you're asking for 2 first rounders, a second, and somebody on my team. Like, heck no. But then you like think about it and you kind of dive deeper and you're like, you know what? I don't know. Like maybe this is a guy we just can't miss out on. And the tempers start flaring, they start getting high, and then you panic trade or you like are willing to fork over more. Maybe the discussions are probably going to happen. I think it's smart to have those discussions leading up to the draft and kind of have something set in stone from a bunch of different teams instead of panicking. So I think before is where you get it, but like draft day is where you come to the conclusion and then call teams and figure that out.
Thing is, that's just me 10 minutes you have when you're picked. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they figure it out. If up to the draft, they still haven't made the switch, I'm convinced it's Caleb. I'm convinced. Now we have a long time for that. We got a long time for that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We've seen the 49ers do it, to get
Trey Lance.
That didn't work out for them. But they ended up getting their quarterback here in the draft with Mr. Irrelevant. Good for them. I guess not good for them because they're the San Francisco 49ers and we're the Cardinals. Right. But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. I think the story is maybe got blown up a little bit too much, but I don't know. I think there's some validity. I think they're at least considering it, and that's enough for me to sit here and say Marvin Harrison Jr. is a little closer to be a Cardinal.
That's enough to have me saying that they're not even sure. Yeah, they're not sure. Like Justin Fields comes out in that last game interview, and he has no idea, and he kind of just like exit. Like if this is the last time, appreciate y'all. And kind of left it at that. So, like, I don't know. I don't think they know. And that's why it's hard to make these decisions because I don't think they're sold on anything. I don't think they have an answer. I think they're sitting here very confused. Like, I don't know. Like, they obviously have to go through everything to make a decision. Like, it's going to take a little bit of time. And it'll probably be like within this next month, they'll try to figure it out. Maybe a month and a half. They have time, but it's tough, man. This is like franchise changing.
It is, and it's not good for your franchise quarterback to be waiting until April to not know. That's another thing that nobody's really thinking about. What is Justin Fields thinking?
Right. Like, I don't know.
If he hasn't got reassurance, how do you feel about this organization, ladies and gentlemen? Not the fans, the organization.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's business, right? Like, if you're not the guy in my eyes, I don't care. Like, genuinely, I don't. Like, I appreciate you as a person and just what you've done, but like at the end of the day, it's a tough business, and this is what's tough about it because these are people, and you obviously develop those relationships within the NFL, so it's a lot easier for us to be like, oh, just cut this guy. Right. You might have ties to his like legit family or whatever that wants to keep him around. He loves having him in the locker room and blase. Yeah. Like we couldn't get Steve Keim to cut like anybody. Like I was asking for Devon Kennard to be cut. Like all these people, Jordan Phillips. Like I couldn't stand watching Jordan Phillips. Like even when he makes plays now for like was he Buffalo right now?
Yeah,
I just can't stand him. And
it annoys me. Wow.
he just frustrates me. Like of course, and then he goes down with an injury. And I'm like, shocker.
Right.
Who would have saw that?
Right.
Who would have thought Jordan Phillips going down? It's just like my hater mode comes out a little bit. I'm gonna keep it real. But like this man just like robbed money from us, like refused to play, and then he goes to Buffalo and is making like impact plays. It's like, dog, what is this?
Yeah.
Now you can stay healthy and like do something. Like you wanted to be in Buffalo all along. You just wanted a bag. Like let's call it how it is.
Kind of feel the same about so I don't think it's the same. I think Devondre Campbell. I think Devondre Campbell's a much better Cardinal than Jordan Phillips was. Yeah, absolutely. But I think he's flourishing more in the Green Bay. I don't know what it is. Maybe scheme, maybe best position, maybe the coach are putting the best. I don't know. But I kind of feel the same way. It was like, oh, it sucks to see Devondre Campbell making. I think he made the Pro Bowl with the Green Bay Packers.
Or Rasul Douglas.
Oh God, geez, don't even bring his name up, man. A guy that he was in a practice squad and we just didn't give any looks to his man.
That's crazy. And then he comes out, was he an All Pro or something?
Yeah.
Like I don't remember what it was, or Pro Bowl something. He definitely had an impact, and he, of course, like you can't even like storybook it better. He literally got a game-winning interception on us.
Yeah, and we were 7-0 at that time.
7-0, man. That's one of those stories that I'll be holding on to forever is the downfall of the 2021 Cardinals.
Don't remind me, brother. Don't remind me. All right, let's close up shop here. We're just doing a smaller abbreviated version. Today we dived into divisional round, who we think is going to win, as well as the Kliff Kingsbury saga continues here in the NFL. Is going to get hired with the Chicago Bears. Any last thing you want to, I guess, talk about before we close up shop?
I mean, I'm rooting for Kliff at the end of the day, man. Yeah. Like I don't have bad blood with him. It just wasn't a fit. It wasn't a fit. I don't hate what Kliff was. It's just I don't think he's a fit as a head coach.
My beef was more with Keim. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what my beef. And he was just in the way, honestly.
It was kind of scapegoaty, but at the same time, I don't feel like he's fit to be a head coach and more of an OC. But he already said he wouldn't relinquish the head coach to become an OC. And why would you? You know, it's like a slap in the face.
Yeah,
it's a slap in the face. So I kind of understand it. But at the same time, I mean, you gotta. I'm rooting for him at the end of the day. I just not here because I mean you can't have him be a head coach.
If he does get hired, we play the Chicago Bears this next year, so that would be very, very interesting. The NFL knows exactly what they're doing. Everything is scripted. I'm just kidding. No, but that would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. A game again to see Kliff and the Cardinals go at it. So we'll see. All right, y'all. We're going to close up shop. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, Absolutely. If you guys haven't already smacked the like button, definitely smack it up. And if you haven't subscribed, this is a brand new channel. This is not Mythic's channel. This is not the AZ Sports Fans channel. This is Big Red Pod. Go ahead and subscribe it up. We go live here, or at least we try to Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Subscribe it up. We are on the road to 2K. We got a long way to go, but subscribe it up and be, join the family. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. As always, have a great rest of your day. Go Cards.